Let's take a walk and talk about progress.
Welcome back to the channel. We're doing this a little differently this time. It's been too nice a day to spend down in the basement in the gym filming this like I normally do. So we're sitting outside, just waiting for supper to get ready, and thought I'd record this. This episode was supposed to be a getting started guide to using chronometer to track your calories and macros. But after rewriting the script too many times to think about, decided to put it off till at least next week, maybe a little longer, depending on how long it takes me to get it into shape. And instead just kind of walk around the property. And this is show what my project's going to be for this week, in addition to training, which is going to be getting my garden into shape. So last year it didn't turn out very well, but hopefully this year, what with extra time with the COVID situation and a little extra money given all the government stimulus, I can actually get my raised beds built properly this year. Local farmer brought me some good composted dirt. Apologize for the traffic going by. Hopefully that's not going to be too loud. And there goes another one. So that's going to be my Wednesday project, I think, when the next day we're supposed to have some decent weather. And so another thing I want to talk about was progress and, how you can track your progress. How do you know you're making progress? And it really depends on what your goals are. But there's a variety of different ways to do it. I mean, anyone that's undertaken to lose weight knows that sometimes it's very frustrating. The scale stops moving and you don't know, geez, am I still making progress? What do I do? And so I'll go over the ways that I track my progress, and hopefully that gives some inspiration for everybody else who's watching to track their progress and keep motivated when things look like there's no progress. So first off, I do recommend, for myself, it's very valuable to weigh myself every day. First thing in the morning, after I get up, I go to the bathroom and get on the scale. I use a Fitbit RES scale, which connects to the internet and links automatically to my chronometer account. So I don't even have to look at what the scale says when I get on it. I can look at it later on. I also take that data and put it into a spreadsheet. That lets me look at kind of a rolling 7-day average of what my weight is doing. And I find that a little more helpful, or actually a lot more helpful, than looking at the daily weights themselves. The problem with daily weights is that they fluctuate a lot, and you can't always tell why it's happening. It's just up and down. And I'll put up a graph of, another car going by. I'll put up a graph of my weight over a period of time. You can see it's just up and down, even though the overall trend ends up being basically maintaining the same weight over that period of time. But if you get caught up in the ups and downs, you can really kind of drive yourself crazy. So what I recommend is, one of the reasons I recommend taking a daily weight is you start to learn to kind of have a little emotional distance from what the scale says. You want to know what it is, but once you've recorded your daily weight every day for a year, say, and generally quite a bit quicker than that, you kind of get a little distance from it. It doesn't quite emotionally jar you when the weight's up 2 pounds, or it does something you don't understand. Another thing I would mention about tracking your weight is that you need to use some common sense when you look at the numbers. And what I mean by that is, and I'll put up another graph, because this happened just recently to me, if you're tracking your calories and you've got a good system for, like I weigh and measure food quite often to kind of keep myself on track, because I've had trouble with weight in the past and still do to some extent. And you're tracking the same way, and you should be in a deficit, and you look at your weight and it just goes up and up and up and up, and your weight goes up 10 pounds or something over the course of a week or so, you can be pretty sure you're not actually gaining that much fat. What we've talked about in the past, to gain a pound of body fat is 3,500 calories. So if you gain 10 pounds, that means you were overeating by 35,000 calories over the course of a week, which is, 5,000 extra calories a day. So your calorie intake probably would have had to triple what you're normally eating, and you know you didn't do that. You might have been off on your tracking, but you weren't that far off. So you kind of have to look at it, and when you see kind of these weird changes that are like 3 pounds or 2 pounds in a day, you start to know that that's not tissue weight. That's water. There's something weird going on. Maybe you've had a bout of a cold or something, and that's influenced your weight. And so when you see these big, huge swings over a short period of time, that you can just wait it out. Wait till, as in this case, in the next week and a half, it dropped back down below what it was when it started going up. So the right thing to do was to just keep doing what I was doing. So I think daily weight's good. And then take a rolling average, like 7 days is what I use to kind of smooth out most of those jumps. Doesn't, when you have a big swing, like what I just spoke about, the rolling average won't get rid of that, but it helps. Another thing to do is take measurements. Every Sunday morning, I get up and I measure specific body parts to see whether they're big or smaller. That can be helpful in a weight loss situation. Even if your weight's not going down, you might see your waist size went down. Your weight stayed the same or maybe went up a couple pounds, but your waist is down 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch, and it has been roughly that going down week to week. And so that can be encouraging. A new one I've just started doing is taking kind of one caliper measurement, a body fat caliper. It's not going to tell you what your body fat is. That you have to be really skilled, and it takes a number of measurements to work that out. But if you take this one spot and you do it the same way every time, you can tell what direction you're going in. If the caliper stays the same or is going down, you can be pretty sure you're probably not gaining too much body fat. If it's going down, you're probably losing body fat, even if you don't know by how much. And the same is true if the caliper measurement starts going up, you might be reasonably correct in assuming that your body fat is going up. So you can look at that. Last one I'll mention is taking photographs. I never take a photo when I first start off, like in a weight loss phase, and I wish I did. But here's the photo of where I started about 1.5 years ago. And on the other side here will be where I am, the most recent photo, which was last week. And the photos are great because it puts that a little bit of emotional distance between you and what's going on. When you look in the mirror, you can end up just focusing on the best parts, the stuff that looks good, or what looks bad, depending on where your mind's at that particular day. But when it's a photo, you can kind of have that little bit of a filter between you and the picture to look at it objectively. And when you have a series of photos, you can go back, as in this case, looking at my photos from 1.5 years ago, even if I'm not making progress this week, if I don't think I'm getting leaner, I can look at this and go, my God, look where I came from 1.5 years ago. So that's my tips for kind of keeping track of your progress. Weigh yourself frequently. If I prefer daily, take an average of those readings over the course of a week, so you kind of have a rolling average to smooth out some of the jinx you're gonna have. Take some regular measurements of body parts that are important to you. Waist is a good one because that's a marker of health as well. So you want to keep track of what that's doing. The caliper is a good one. You can also keep track of things like how your sleep is from week to week, what your fatigue levels are, that sort of thing. I'll put up a spreadsheet. Again, I have lots of spreadsheets with this kind of stuff that I track. And photos. Take photos. Taking weekly photos is too much because the changes aren't big enough. But monthly photos can help, and so I would recommend doing that. Anyway, that's going to be it for this time. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. And stay tuned for the weekly training update. Thanks.
So I finished week 2 of my first hypertrophy mesocycle, and things are going pretty well. For most exercises, I was able to rate them a +1, meaning that set volume is going up. Since I'm an older trainee and I train on my own, I adjust things so I don't get huge jumps in volume. An overuse injury would slow my gains much more than a slight decrease in volume would, especially with my young training age, which means I likely have some newbie gains left in me. In the first week, I completed 62 sets with a total workout time of 5 hours and 35 minutes. This week, I completed 77 work sets over the course of 6 hours and 21 minutes. That's a 24% increase in volume and 14% increase in training time. Given this increase in volume, my rate of weight gain has slowed quite a bit. I may need to bump up my calories a bit, or just actually eat my target. I've been about 100 calories under my target so far. I do expect to need to increase my calories over the rest of the mesocycle. The volume and training time will continue to go up over the next few weeks. Relative and absolute intensity are going up as well. Next week, I go from 3 reps in reserve to 2, while the weight on the bar will be going up 2%. So I'll be doing more sets and trying to get another rep from at least the first set of each exercise. Should be fun. See you next week. Oh, nice. Test. What the heck? And I've been doing this for 5 minutes and I'm not getting any sound. Okay, so we'll try this again. Looks like my microphone is working there. Looks like it's working down on the Zoom. Lord knows how this is going to turn out. So, basic introduction, how to get started.